Brought to you in association with Grendel Press. This is Werewolf, the podcast, a serial killer drama.
William Marshal. A home of sorts. The stone towers of the Château de Tancarville rose above the Seine like pale stone fingers reaching towards heaven. A steel-coloured, cloud-infested heaven. So strong the edifice looked, sat there, holding onto its rocky pedestal. Solidity and solemnity in a natural world. I had returned to those walls many times, as a page, as a squire, as a frightened boy trying desperately to become the sort of man that the songs spoke of. But never like this. Never beside Gervais. Never beside Percy. Never carrying the weight of what had happened in the last few weeks. No, days. Percy rode ahead of us in full resplendent, rapacious glory. Of course he did. And Gervais and I would not have it any other way already. We were the type that enjoyed hiding behind a man like Percy, you see, in scenarios such as this. It was nice to have him as a focus, it was. His musicians had started trumpeting the moment we reached the mile marker from the castle. The drummer had recovered his rhythmic enthusiasm. The flower petal fellow had somehow found more flower petals. Where he found them, fuck knew. It was nearly winter after all. Gervais watched the procession with one swollen eye and a wry smile. That smile was one of strange pride as he stared at the circus that was the mighty Percy and his noisy retinue.
Do they always announce him like a conquering emperor, William?
I've heard that he only precedes his presence with such pomposity on days pertaining to the end with a Y. He looked at me in disgust.
That was a very Percy-ish sentence.
I tried. He spat another mouthful of blood into the dust before rinsing his mouth out with a mouthful of water and suddenly spitting again, this time in revulsion.
Good God!
He yelled, wiping his mouth with a forearm. Is the water bad? I asked him, offering my own skin with concern.
Sorry, what?
He asked as though confused. Is it bad? The water, man. I repeated again, offering my own skin. He looked at me hard as if trying to decipher some meaning to this question. Then he smiled.
Oh no, it's just water.
He considered the skin in his hands with resolute bitterness.
And I swore 3 years hence that I would never drink water again. I would never let it pass my lips.
I did not need to ask why. I think he knew he needed to explain.
You see, a word from the wise. It is a conduit for pestilence, you see, William. I also hold that I can bless the wine, and in the act of transubstantiation, I can commune with the Lord as I drink of his body.
Really? Transubstantiation?
Yes, that's the word. Well, no, actually, that's wrong.
Oh. We trotted on for a while as the brave Gervais checked his kit for a wineskin. So, did you drink water that made you ill at some point then? I asked the man. He replied, suggesting that he'd moved on from the wine conversation. Do you only drink wine because you got the shits from some water then or something like that?
Oh, no, not that either. I just will not give it the chance to give me the shits. I've no interest in dysentery that's unearned, personally.
He added, with a wink.
Anyway, back to Percy's shenanigans, shall we get, yes?
He said, as he opened a newly found skin, carefully sniffing its contents before taking a long draught and sighing with obvious content at its, contents.
I bloody hope he runs out eventually.
Another long draught. Of water? I asked him.
Water? No, not water, damn you.
Petals, then? I queried.
No fucking titles.
Fenrir was walking silently at my horse's shoulder.
The noisy one amuses me right good.
Sprang from the wolf soul into my mind. Who's that, Percy? I thought back.
Aye, most men wear masks. His appears to be made entirely of gold leaf and confidence.
You don't trust him, then? Fenrir's great jaws parted in what passed for a smile.
I trust the man who leapt from an horse just to save you.
That's not the same thing, is it?
I find for warriors, well, it usually is.
You think that Percy is a warrior?
Aye, he is. He just doesn't realise he is.
Replied the wolf soul with a hint of amusement in his tone. The gates opened before us, as if in personified embarrassment at our approach.
This is Fenrir Wolf Soul. You're listening to Werewolf Podcast, a serial killer drama.
William Marshal. My Lord Guillaume II de Tancarville awaited us in the Great Hall. A great hall for a great man. My lord sat beneath the ragged and bloody war banner of his house. Broad-shouldered and severe he was, his grey beard neatly trimmed, his hands resting upon the arms of his chair. He looked less like a nobleman and more like a great sword that had learned to sit down. He was truly a figure that warranted all the plaudits that Percy gave himself. When we approached, he said only one word.
A report.
Percy brightened immediately, adjusting his helm to an appropriate place under one arm and taking a heroic stance to give his version of what happened in his usual enthusiastic manner.
Then, my lord, the engagement was a triumph of Norman arms, though naturally, had I arrived a few moments earlier, the matter would have been resolved with considerably greater elegance. Sir William, I believe, fought like a lion, and Gervais like a...
Guillaume raised a single pained finger at poor Percy, whilst arching his eyebrows and shaking his head. The pretty golden knight deflated, his pomposity drained, and stopped speaking mid-sentence. The Count turned his gaze to Gervais. He gave the knight a good hard look up and down. I could see he was measuring the man from the evidence he saw before him. Gervais stood regarding the Count with a sedate smile of his own. I looked at him. As a knight, he... well, in comparison to Percy, he looked like, I would liken him to a bag of shit, to be honest. Blood, broken mail, dinted plate, notched sword swung as a naked blade, no scabbard, no, unneeded unnecessities for this warrior. The Count carefully considered and weighed him and recognized a real knight in the ill-disposed, stinking heap before him. Oh, and might I tell you, how he stank.
You, sir,
he said with some authority which he tempered with a smile. Gervais straightened as much as his battered body would allow, and then pointed to himself. The Count nodded.
Okay, in the battle we charged with the vanguard, my lord. William, well, he saved my life perhaps twice. I remember returning the favour once at least.
He paused as he considered this, and then nodded.
We were sadly captured afterwards. William wanted to fight, but it would have been a waste of life, in my opinion. I mean, please don't question the boy's bravery on this, but I, as a man of many fields and fights, know when it is better to, to be honest, live than die. If you see that as cowardice, well...
He tried to straighten to show the strength he had, but just yelped and winced. The Count smiled at this. I could see that he had already decided what he thought of Gervais.
Then the cowardice was not this man's, it was mine. The enemy beat us fairly, stripped us, and attempted to ransom us back to you, my lordship.
Guillaume's eyebrow lifted.
Ransom you? Amusing. And?
Gervais shrugged.
Well, to be honest, Lord, we did actually find the idea inherently amusing. Why?
Asked the Count. He was now having fun, a rare thing in this very serious man's life.
Because... do you mind if I take a seat, my lord? I'm having some difficulty with staying bloody upright. Please.
Replied the Count, gesturing to a page to bring the injured knight a chair, which Gervais collapsed into with a gasp somewhere between delight and pain.
Well...
Asked the Count.
Well, we both know... well, we knew you wouldn't pay.
Replied Gervais, looking as embarrassed as a man could with such a swollen face. A dangerous silence followed. The Count held Gervais' eyes. Neither faltered. Then Guillaume's mouth twitched.
Well, sir, you were both correct.
And he laughed, actually laughed out loud.
A comforting sort of correctness then, my lord, what?
Guillaume looked at me.
William.
I stepped forward. The report is accurate, my lord.
Who, killed the enemy camp?
My heart stumbled. Close by, Fenrir became very still. I chose my words carefully. I did not see them, my lord. Technically true. Guillaume studied me for a long moment. I felt as though we were weighing not my answer, but the spaces around it. At last, he nodded at Percy and waved the man to continue. Of course, Percy did so with utter delight.
I found a battlefield that looked as though a storm had grown very claws themselves. The dead, they'd been ravaged and torn to shreds. A bloodier field I have not seen since Avino. A most excellent description, if I may say so myself there, sir.
Then,
you may not,
said Guillaume. Percy deflated again. Gervais stood unexpectedly and almost fell. I moved to support him, but he waved me away with one hand.
My lord, if I may.
Guillaume inclined his head and nodded.
This young man has fought beside me, bled beside me, saved my life, and endured capture without complaint. I must admit, after my time at the hands of the enemy, I was, let's say, somewhat unaware of what happened in the camp. I sort of have to admit I was,
He scratched his head as he tried to select the correct word.
Unconscious.
The Count smiled at this. I think he enjoyed Gervais' honesty.
Whatever happened in that camp, sir, I know this much. I would trust William Marshal with my life.
As would I,
Percy immediately added, clashing a gauntleted hand against his breastplate. I stared at them both. Guillaume looked from Gervais to Percy, then back to me. Another thoughtful pause, and then...
When you first came to my household, you wished to become a great knight, William.
I did. I agreed. He sat back in thought for a few moments. He considered me, then rose. The hall fell silent as he drew his sword. The sound of steel leaving the scabbard seemed impossibly loud. The man walked forward and nodded at me. Was this my time? I dropped to one knee before I had even thought about it. Fenrir stood behind me. I could feel him there, like a mountain. Guillaume placed the flat of the blade upon my shoulder.
Today, you forgot to become a knight.
At this, I looked up in confusion. For the first time since I had known him, my lord smiled at me.
Because today, William,
He said quietly.
You simply are one, sir.
The sword touched my other shoulder.
Rise, Sir William Marshal.
For a heartbeat, I could not move. Sir William Marshal. The words felt too large for me, they did. Fenrir's voice entered my thoughts, and for once there was no mockery in it.
I'm truly proud of you, William.
I swallowed hard. You've seen 1,000 warriors, you have.
I have, but I've never seen a true knight.
He continued. There was a warmth in his voice that I had heard only rarely across the years.
The boy who feared being abandoned at a siege has become a man others, well, they'll choose to follow, and to fear.
I did not do this alone. Fenrir's great head dipped. I rose. Percy actually wiped a tear from one eye before pretending he had something in it. Gervais simply grinned.
It must be wine time now, must it not?
He muttered. Guillaume sheathed his sword. I straightened proudly.
Good.
Thank you, my lord.
Now you earn it.
The pride lasted approximately 2 seconds. My lord? Guillaume turned away.
Gervais.
Aye?
Percy. Present and magnificent, lord.
Percy supplied. Guillaume paused, pursed his lips as he considered Percy, and then simply ignored the second half of Percy's statement.
You will both, accompany Sir William.
Gervais and Percy exchanged a glance. On what task, my lord? I asked. Guillaume's smile returned. It was the smile of a man about to make someone's life extremely difficult.
It will be the first one as a knight.
Fenrir chuckled behind me.
I've got a feeling we're going to need another wineskin.
He said. At least 2, I replied. And somewhere beside me, though we could not hear the wolf, Gervais nodded as if he somehow agreed.
The 3 of you go and do whatever it is you need, and then come back when you're ready.
The Count motioned us to leave.
I'm Will, the werewolf, and you're listening to Werewolf, the podcast. Enjoy.
Fenrir, wolf soul. Humans are fascinating creatures, aren't they? Give one a sword and he believes himself incorruptible. Give him a title and he believes himself important. Give him both and occasionally becomes a bloody knight. William, well, he walked different now. No longer a boy, now a man in his bearing. He didn't sort of walk proudly, not arrogantly. I appreciate that. He strode simply straight for the first time confident in himself. The sword hanging at his side was the same sword he'd carried yesterday. His hands were the same hands. His heart beat exactly as it had this morning. Yet one old Norman lord had touched steel upon his shoulders and the boy had become the man he had always hoped to be. I confess, I found myself smiling. I know, not with my mouth, no. Wolves seldom smile as men, just sort of stand it. But somewhere inside this old soul that had wandered this world since long before Roman rule, I smiled. He'd earned it, you know. We'd earned it. Gervais naturally celebrated demanding wine and consuming it. That man could bloody drink. Percy celebrated by, well, demanding musicians, demanding and consuming them. That man could be, well, whimsically irritating. William celebrated by insisting they both stop bloody arguing. It was wonderfully human. The 3 young knights wandered the courtyard together while servants hurried around them. Gervais had somehow acquired a loaf of bread, a quart of wine and a haunch of pork. Percy had somehow acquired 3 admirers of various kinds, with various kinds of admiration to be offered. William had somehow acquired, well, responsibility. He already looked exhausted. This This would be the resigned look he held for the rest of his life. It suited him, I said aloud before realising no one but William would hear me. He smiled.
What does?
Responsibility.
Ah, I see. That sounds less like a compliment than you think.
It wasn't a compliment, I offered. He laughed. Gods. He'll have far more these days. Perhaps friendship was contagious. Perhaps that ridiculous golden peacock and the battered English bastard were precisely what he had needed all these years. I hoped so, because I'd watched far too many men grow old, friendless. A page appeared in courtyard.
My Lord William.
William looked confused. He sort of looked over his shoulder and had the innocence to point at himself with a finger as though in physical inquiry of who the page was speaking to. He'd not really sort of grown accustomed to anyone calling him.
My lord, the Count requests your presence.
The laughter faded. The four of us crossed to the Great Hall together. Well, three crossed it. I merely walked where I pleased. Inside, Guillaume de Tancarville stood looking not at us but at a map. His fingers rested upon a vast green shape, forest. Even before I recognised it, I disliked it.
There have been more attacks.
The Count did not look up.
6 this month.
No one spoke.
I mean, 3 foresters, they can be replaced easily enough. A priest, no loss there. He was an utter oaf, to be honest, but 2 children, not so replaceable in spirit, if fundamentally they are replaceable, let's say, physically.
My hackles rose, not because of the deaths. Death comes for every creature, to be honest, because of where the Count's finger rested, the Forest of Brotonne. Old forests, very old, older than kingdoms, older than cathedrals, perhaps even older than my memory itself. Guillaume sort of finally looked at William.
It is thought to be some sort of wild beast, William. You are to hunt this beast, or whatever it is, that is responsible.
William nodded immediately.
My lord.
Just simple acceptance of this as a fact in his tone. I said nowt. My gaze remained fixed. The forest, that forest. Well, what did that? Why, impossible. Oh, surely not. Guillaume continued.
The villagers speak of a great wolf.
Gervais shrugged.
I thought wolves killed livestock.
He said through a right big mouthful of pig.
They do,
said Percy as he folded his arms.
They rarely kill 6 people, that's true.
He continued with feigned knowledge. The Count winced and turned to the 3.
They rarely kill people.
Silence settled over all. He looked at the floor. Then Count spoke quietly.
They call it.
He hesitated.
They call it.
As though embarrassed to utter word.
A werewolf.
William's heartbeat stumbled only once. No one else noticed. Our bloody did, though. I looked at him, he looked at me, neither of us spoke. Guillaume continued.
I personally place no faith in the peasants' tales. I believe some unusually large wolf or pack of such has discovered that in this area men are somewhat slower than deer and offer more than a good mouthful.
He said, focusing on Gervais, who quickly chewed the contents of his mouth and swallowed with embarrassment. Percy nodded confidently.
You're quite right there, my lord.
Gervais could only nod in agreement before wiping his grease-coated lips and adding,
Yes, a hungry wolf.
William remained silent. Guillaume pointed to the forest again.
William, bring me its head. It will make a worthy trophy on the wall of the keep.
William bowed.
It shall be done.
No, I let slip. The word echoed through our minds. No.
No?
He repeated, no. William felt my unease.
Fenrir?
I did not answer. Well, not immediately. Instead, I walked towards map, towards a painted forest, towards that place I'd not visited for longer than a man alive could imagine. At last, I whispered, we're not hunting a wolf or one of those sad, simple werewolves. William frowned ever so slightly.
Then what are we hunting?
I closed my eyes. I remembered another age, another forest, moonlight. Great black shapes moving silently between ancient oaks, voices that spoke as mine once had, laughter. Family. One of my family. When I opened my eyes for the first time since William had met me, I was afraid. I know that forest. William's thoughts came cautious.
But how could you know such a place?
I looked at the map. My voice had become little more than a whisper. Because, William, a long silence. Long before I ever found you, some of my family called that place home.
Brought to you in association with Grendel Press. This is Werewolf, the podcast, a serial killer drama.